looking good. If it works, it works. If it don't, it don't. Hi everyone, and welcome to today's little stream. I'm just testing to see if YouTube streaming will work for me. I haven't used it for a while and I've decided to come back. I do like using Twitch for fast streaming, but I think I need to pay a little bit more attention to YouTube right now. So what I'm doing is I'm hoping, fingers seriously crossed here, to get into the Weymouth Comic Con for 2019. The only thing is, I haven't really got anything for it. So I've been playing The Isle, which is a game on Steam, which is frustrating, infuriating, but quite fun. And there's dinosaurs in it. So I thought I'd do a few scenarios from the game that you get in bookmark shape. So for anyone who's seen my previous bookmarks, actually grab them, then these are kind of the thing that I did last time. Hopefully that's going to show in a second. I don't know how fast this stream is running. Right. Yeah, I think I'm a few seconds behind on this. And ones like that. So this is kind of bookmarks I made a while ago. I had them trimmed down, laminated, did all the work myself. And ended up with little bookmarks like so. And I just used colour paper on the backing, and I used to sell them about 50 UK pence each. So lots of little different designs, and they did sell well. Then I came down to Dorset. I moved from where I lived in Berkshire, came down to Dorset, and because I needed to clear out a huge amount of stuff, I got rid of everything. Pretty much all my crafting stuff, all my bookmarks. I needed space. I've started doing a degree course, so it's like crafting a hobby out and degree in. So all of the ones that I'd cut, laminated, all that work went to a charity shop. I'm glad, in a sense I'm happy, but in a sense I'm sad because right now I actually need those bookmarks. But on the other hand, I've given something good to charity. They can send it around the country, it can sell. So if you see like a dragon themed bookmark that's been hand laminated with colour card on the back, there's a good chance it's one of mine. So with these ones, I'm worked out some very, very rough concept ideas, and then I just plonked them down. So we have a Parasaurolophus trying to get to water, but some raptors having karaoke night. And this one, there used to be a place called Party Pool on the game. Really, really quite fun. Everyone gathered there. It was absolute chaos, and it resulted in the area actually being taken off the maps because it was so much chaos. But in this scenario, there's a little Rexy, and he's got a little party hat on, and two raptors are trying to give it a present. But everybody else who tried is a little set of rips around the pond, and there's a Suko or a Barry, whichever you want to put in the pond. So the one that I'm working on currently, which I've just put on a very, very rough colour layer, is one of the, I think it's an Ceratops. So it's part of the Triceratops family, and everyone calls it a potato. Potato. So what I'm doing is I've done like a rough layer, and now I can go in and start to add in some detail. So the pens that I'm using to do this are the Line Maker by Derwent, and they're graphic ones. This packet I paid quite a lot for when they came out on Hachanda, the Home of Hobbies, Crafts and Arts and stuff, TV channel. And I wasn't too sure because I'm so used to working with the micron pens, but they come in this really nice sleeve. And I did get the silver, the brown, or kind of browny bronze colour. It's a bit of a funny one, and the black. And with the silver and the brown, you're limited to 3 types: the nib, a 0.1, 0.3 and 0.5. With the black, it goes from 0.05 to 0.8, which is quite good. And there's a 0.3 in there, which is a bit of a different one. They work nicely with Copics, and what I'm finding is I can put the ink down and in a few seconds put the Copic over, no problem whatsoever with smudging. The paper that I'm using for this is oddly enough, I couldn't find any Bristol board in my supply kit. Yeah, I know I've got some. So this is Fabriano hot pressed watercolour paper. Goodness knows how many pounds. But I don't recommend watercolour paper as much because the bleed through on the back is really heavy. So I'll stick with Bristol board. I haven't done this on marker paper because marker paper is going to be too thin to work with. And also if I need to go to my printers and get copies and things like that, it's going to be handled a lot, whereas this sort of paper is much more robust. So I know it's not going to be such a problem. But if the paper is going to get handled a lot and pulled out of a wallet a lot, then there's no real point in having, well, it's going to get damaged. So I'm just going to add in some detail. This is a 0.1 pen. Some of these bookmarks I'm going to do as pen, some of them I'm going to outline in colour pencil, just to give a little bit of a different effect on each one. And some of the work's going to be cartoonish, some of it's going to be realistic. So a proper mix that is going to go for everyone. Let's bring it down. Yeah, sorry about the lighting. I'm literally just in a tiny room right now, and starving artist syndrome, I can't afford to have big lights and studio setups like that, so we will have to start somewhere. Now I actually spent some time studying potatoes, just so that I could understand a bit more about the kind of shapes and marks that you get on potatoes. From Maris Piper through to King Edwards, through to new potatoes. And those purple potatoes. You can get blue potatoes as well, which look really cool. I've only had them a couple of times because they tend to be a bit more expensive. And I've tried to grow them, but with the blue, the red and the purple potatoes, even the ones where it's just like the coloured skin and not the coloured core, I can never find a heavy cropper. They're always really light, so you only get like 5 potatoes per plant. Whereas some of the other breeds, like the Maris Piper, you'll get just tons. I miss growing potatoes, just haven't got the time. All you literally just need is a bucket of dirt. Stick your seed potatoes in. Water, feed, water, feed, water, feed. Not too much water though. And once the plant's flowered, after flowering, you just dig very carefully and pull out your potatoes. Now I'm doing this right now basically as a break from my degree. I've just sent it, I'm on the second part of the second part, and my tutor isn't really helping me. In fact, she's causing me quite a lot of issues, because when you do these degrees and you have to send a certain amount of stuff up for them to review, and we have an online blog on this course, but lo and behold, every time I've sent a link to my tutor, the link's not worked and she's refused to grade it. So I've been getting some really bad reports and the college has been squeaking at me. And I've said to her, I am sending you the work. I can't stop it, the links or any of that. And I've moved the page multiple times on different areas. I can't stop it corrupting. I'm not an IT genius. So from now on, I've got to basically print off not only all the stuff that I've done, so I'm going to have to send all the stuff that I've done, and then print off all of the stuff that I've written, which is going to add up my costs no end. Because I'm based in the south and my tutor is based way over Yorkshire, so she's based like up the opposite end of the country. Mind you, my last tutor was in Ireland, and it's like 50 quid to get a small parcel over there. So by that time I was just like, this is not fun. But I'm going to do my best to get this degree, because I want to prove a lot of people wrong. I want to have a qualification I can actually sit up and be proud of. So as you can see, I've just used the blender there just to loosen up a little bit of the colour that's already there. I've got millions of Copics around me. Well, nearly. I just need some potato colours. And because I've just reactivated the base layer with the alcohol, it'll allow me to blend in this one a bit easier. Now I'm going for kind of jacket potato colouring. Jacket potato with butter. And I do them at work nearly all day. Jacket potatoes with coronation chicken, jacket potato cheese, cheesy beans on its own with the butter, jacket potato and scrambled egg. I see many a jacket potato. So I'm going to leave the horn area quite light. Right, let's see, I need this one. I'm using quite a lot of E numbers for this, just to blend a lot of the darker colours in. Some of these images I want to be quite dark in a sense, and others I want to have a little bit of vibrancy, but not too garish. So that blue there, that's a replica of the in-game blue. And I can tone it down a tiny bit. But I can come back and reanimate the alcohol ink and go from there. For certain areas, like on the spots and stuff, I can use the Posco markers, which are an absolute hurrah. And they work nicely with Copics. I found one of the other white marker pens, it left like a film, and you could still see the original colour underneath. But with the Posco ones, they just seem to sit much better. Okay, sometimes you have to do a few layers, but they are much better for it. I'm not worried if any of the ink that I've put down, any of the lines blur into the background. So now I need a slightly light yellowish colour. You'll notice there's two cameras running, one here and one here. Basically, I'm not a confident person. I am very self-critical, very self-aware, and with this stuff right now with my degree, I'm really kind of not happy with life. But don't worry, I'm just hanging around. And I'm also in the process of trying to lose 2 stone in weight, because I'm rather round. Now, once I can lose the weight, and I've lost, I'm losing £2 a week as a set amount, which is working quite well. Okay, this week I've been a bit naughty and had a treat or two, and this weekend I'm out cycling for the whole weekend to try and burn off that. But I'm hoping once I've lost the weight and picked up my confidence off the floor, that this camera will become a face camera. That's like, if you want to see me, if you just want to see my wonderful hands, which now vanishes all over the place, then I'll stick to that. Yeah, I've got work tomorrow and I've got to get this nail varnish off, and it will not budge. I do have nail varnish remover, it's just, it makes me feel sick using it. but we'll fix that. We'll find a way. There we go. And then I need an E00 or something very, very close. What have we got? Got E45. It's not really close, is it? Oh, there it is. Yeah, I'm working on another drawing right now. So all the Copics that I've got out are literally just one drawing. There's about 50 of them so far, and it's for this harborscape that I'm working on. Whilst having a weekly break from this degree before I kind of throw the degree in the bin. I don't want to be put off by the tutors, because the degree isn't just about doing the drawing, it's about the mindset. There's research sides of things, so I need to be able to look up other artists who I can't stand, e.g. Tracy Emin. And I need to be able to mentally be able to concentrate on that side of things. So even though I absolutely hate looking at the images, e.g. Tracy Emmett, Louise Burgess, something like that, I'm trying to study them. Oh god, that's been stomach churning. Talk about PG-21. But I've had to concentrate on that, and it is very mentally taxing looking up and finding information. I don't have any museums near to me. I've got nothing, no Tate Moderns, nout. Diddly squit. So I have to do my research online, and I find what little I can on some of the people. And other people on this course can just walk down the road to a national gallery or something like that. I can't. But we're getting there. Just help my tutor not being such a pain. Even though I've sent the links and everything, she's got all of the stuff. She will not grade it. So my first assignment, she said she wouldn't grade until the second one because the link didn't work apparently. But instead of getting back to me and saying, oh, the link's not working, which she didn't do, she allowed me to send a second lot thinking that the link had worked, and of course it didn't, and instantly, no, the second piece isn't working, I'm now going to grade that on your third piece. I'll look at the whole thing. And it's just frustrating beyond all belief. So yeah, if you're thinking of doing a study at home degree, just really think about it before going into it. There's a lot more pitfalls than you believe. And also you don't get a study group unless you can find someone in your local area who is free to study with you at the same time as such. It's a lot harder to do. Just add in a couple more potato colours. Starting to feel a bit more comfortable with that. I could do a tan colour. And what I'm going to do is certain bits of this. So let's see, YR21. Certain bits of this I'm going to bleach out just to kind of give shininess. Other bits I'm just quite literally going around the muscle areas, just to make sure they're nicely defined. Because with alcohol markers, if you do something in a dark colour and then you go over it with the same colour family but the lighter version, so just as I've used YR21, and then if I go over with the E000, it will bleach it out because the lighter colours have got more alcohol in, I believe. And then if I come through with the blending stroke bleaching tool or pen, that will do even more. I'm just pushing back that bright yellow, just don't want it too bright. And if anyone's here, thank you very much for turning up. It's always appreciated. I don't have a schedule for live streaming. It's as and when. Due to the fact that I have to work. Evil work. Right, so now I can come in and add greys. What you'll see me sometimes do is with the Copics is to open the nib I'm not going to use first and then open the other one. They seem to build up pressure in the barrel, and if you don't release a bit of that pressure by opening up the opposite end, you can get a massive great big ink pool straight literally down the barrel, and blood. Your artwork will be destroyed. And you'll find some new pens are so juicy that you almost have to use them on scrap and just take out a bit of that ink before you use them. But most of these Copics I've had for about 5 years, and I've worked a lot with them, and some of them are still not run out. Some of them are starting to go dry. This is one of the W greys, so it's a warm grey 7, quite a dark one. Once again, I'll just blend it back. I'm not Copic trained as such. I took one lesson in Copics, absolutely loved it, but I don't have any qualifications with the Copic courses. But I'd certainly, if you get a chance to do a Copic course, and of any of them from the kind of beginners to the advanced, I would certainly recommend them. You can really learn a lot from them. As you see, a lot of using these pens is literally all down to layering. Get the layering right and you're well and truly on your way. A bit like colour pencil. But with these you have to worry about drying time. Well, not exactly worry, but you need to be aware of how fast they dry. So in the summer, like now, when I've got temperatures of over 34 coming in the door, I don't use my Copics so much. In fact, for proper projects I won't use them at all, because I can't guarantee the drying time, and it means that I can't control the ink so much. In the winter I will use the Copics a lot more, so I can keep the room at a stable temperature and just reactivate the ink whenever I need it. So let's clean up this potato. So I'm using a very, very small circular motion, and I'm just picking out little areas with the bright yellow. And these should suddenly bleach out just a little bit, but they should still have the bright colour to them. It's just pushing the ink back, but softening up a lot of the lines as well. I mean, you can get some beautiful, beautiful soft lines with Copics, and you can actually airbrush with them. There is an airbrush kit, though I've never tried it, but I've always been tempted. And you'll note that there's not really any transfer from those dark colours onto the light nib. Let's pick up a couple of highlights. You can do the nib transfer routine where you take 2 pens and put the 2 together and move the colours across. You can do that. You can do feathering, you can do all sorts. And I do have the Spectrum Noir pens, and I've tried to work with them, but I'm going to be honest, I don't get along with them. I find the colours extremely bright. I mean, like, kaboom bright. The colours you could hold up on the other side of a room and you'll still be able to identify them perfectly. They're like, and also the pen is too chunky. Copic is quite a nice balanced pen. They're not heavy, and you've got the different shapes with the chow and the sketch. And there's even wide ones, which are, there are only a few colours with the wide, but they are brilliant. And you can refill your Copics. You can change the nibs over if you want to change nibs. There's a lot of diversity in them. With the Spectrum Noir ones, I don't even know how much the ink costs, but you have to buy it in these vial things, quite literally. So I'm letting those run down. I've got a full set, and I don't know why I bought them, in all honesty. I don't know why I didn't just trust the Copics. I know where I am with Copics. I think I just wanted to show that I could do some ink in a different medium, but it didn't quite go to plan. And with the Copics you can buy open stock, but I don't know yet if the Spectrum Noirs you can. I know the Spectrum Noir is run by a company that does another brand, it's very similar in America. I can't remember what it's called now, but it's really, really similar. Whereas at least with Copic, all you get is a Copic. You don't get any cheap knockoffs. Let's see, what shall I pick? I'm going to open not two. Just want to define a couple of bits. Right, let's make this potato more like a potato. So I'm going to use a blender pen, and you can see my blender pen's nib is a little bit meh. But in truth, considering I've had this one 6 years, and I've never changed the nib. 6-year-old nib, still going strong. And I have pushed hard on occasion with it. But yeah, you just respect the pens and you get everywhere with them. So I'm literally just tapping and just brushing gently on the areas that I want to lighten up. I'm not putting any pressure on there. I know a lot of people say hold your pen up high when you're not doing pressure, but I've got more control when I hold down lower. I'm just going to pick a couple of random areas. Sometimes the blender seems to take a little while to cut through the other ink, and other times it seems almost instant, and that can be down to your paper type, so just be aware of how different papers will affect how the markers work. And I'm going to soften that bit out. And with the brushes, don't push them that way. I always bring it gently and soft. If you start feeling friction with the brush, just stop and step away and come back, because you shouldn't have any friction with it. You shouldn't feel it grating or hear it grating. You can see I'm just using very, very gentle marks. Also, you can use the side of the brush if you want to coat a larger area, or you can use a chisel tip. The blender is definitely one that I recommend get a refill for, because you will use quite a lot of it. Okay, I'm going to hold this one down. Let's see, 10, 9, 8, 7, 5. Just pick up a larger chunk. And I'll tell you what, if you want to do a dapple horse in grey, proper grey, so you say take all of the C Copics, so C000 and C2, C9 I think they do, and use just those to do an image of a horse, a proper dapple grey, and then come through and every so many layers you bring in the blender and then you just do spots and little circles, or even just tap very, very carefully, and then put another layer, light layer over. The effect is absolutely beautiful. You can really get a high detailed, realistic looking drawing. Let's get bleach that out a bit more. And it softens up that colour a little bit. So while that's thinking about it, I'm going to come through and add a little bit of the Posca. This is quite a chunky one that I'm using here, so it's going to be a bit brighter than if I was using a smaller nib. Once again, just a very, very light touch. You don't need to ram pens down onto paper. Same with pencils. As tempting as it is, the harder you push with a pencil, it's not going to make the kind of colour come out any darker. Contrary to popular belief. If you want to make a pencil drawing darker, then you need to go down with light layers and just keep on doing very, very light layers. You'd be amazed at the difference. Also, it becomes smoother. The lighter the hand, the smoother the image. And hopefully I've got this right, that these are not going to be too stand out white. A little bit just over there. And I'm going to put that in the eye while I work out what colour I'm doing that. And I can go over these once they're dry and use like a glaze over them. Just make sure that you're not putting your hand into this. Normally I'd have a guard sheet underneath, just to make sure my hand doesn't connect too much. So I'm happy for that for the base layers of the dinosaur. So I'm going to just put in the work into the potatoes. I'm going to replicate a couple of the colours that I've used. The nice thing about Copics is you can get such detail by hardly even touching the paper with the nib. The detail just comes beautifully. You don't need to put tons of pressure onto these. A couple of areas I just want to push the shadow in. And by stepping back and re-looking at an image, you'll quite often see areas that suddenly think, oh, I could do with doing a bit more work there. And that's what you'll see me do a lot, is that I'll start one thing and then suddenly I'll completely change and do something else. It's literally just where I'm seeing areas that I know that I can make improvements to. So I need more potatoes. Potato! Now, I actually don't know if potatoes grew in prehistoric times. I know ferns did. And there must have been kind of tubery plants there with big roots and such, storing water, which is basically what a potato is. So, in theory, there could have been a type of potato. going back to, let's see, let's be using a different one. 0.8 is going to be a bit too chunky. The nibs on these Derwent pens aren't too bad actually. The 0.05 is a little bit fragile, but the other nibs seem to be quite okay. I'm used to using the Micron pens, these guys, but I find, as you can see, after a couple of days of using them, all the information wears off and I have to guess the pen by the nib. That looks like a 0.4. So as much as I love these, and they do work with Copics, because all that information just goes off, I really can't be bothered typing the lot out and taping them to the pen, and that means that the pen barrel won't feel nice either. So this is the 0.3. So I'm leaving the potato plants quite simple detail. I'm thinking about the rest of the background. I suppose I could just do it plain green, couldn't I? If I do a light layer of green. Just now I realised I haven't put any scoots. Dancel's missing a couple of details. That's cool, I can add them in a minute. So I did that really light green. Then I can go over it and add more potatoes. So these are gonna, these are gonna be prehistoric potatoes, so they're gonna be tall. Now really I need one of them at least to go over the original drawing. There we go. Just to make it look as if the dinosaur is actually moving through the plants. Tea needed. So for the background, I think I'm going to use YG25, and the problem is this G000 doesn't match YG25. It's a different type of green. That's more apple green, and that's more lime green. So do I have a match? G12? Right. G00 is also closer to the kind of bluey green. G12 should match, hopefully. It's just I need more than one pen to work through the colours. So I'm going to put this colour down all the way across. I'm not worried if I go over the lines, because when I get the sheet copied, I'm going to be sat down trimming all the copies, so I can clean that up later. And I'll be doing gold, bronze and silver edges. And kind of, I would love to ship a lot of the work that I do to these out, but at the same time I know that that's not going to be possible. And I just had a massive feeling of deja vu. This is not a good feeling. I've been here before. So hopefully all of this ink will have dried, and I can go back over the potatoes again just to push some of that detail. if that's dried. That's handy. Quite often my Copic drawings, if I'm doing a proper realism drawing, they will just take days, absolute days to do. And it's not always because I'm not doing them, it's quite simply because I need to make sure every single layer sets where I want it and how I want it, and that I get smooth blends and not any streakiness or anything like that. And I don't do digital drawing. My eyes just can't take it. I get massive migraines if I even try it. Quite happy with that green, just going in with the little nib. And I don't mind if this background has got any little kind of spots or stuff to it, because that'll add the image of foliage. Now if you've got one Copic marker, say you've been out and you've bought just one, no shame in that, and that's how I started. Basically, do your layer, let it dry, and that's the important bit, let it dry. Then using that same pen, come back over it, and you will see that you get a darker colour. And it's a great way of doing really subtle two-tone plus backgrounds, and also adding in detail. So if I've drawn a woman in a dress and I've put in all of my layers that needed, and then I realise that the dress has got something like you know, wedding dresses, they look pure white, and then when you look and you see all that beautiful lace work and embroidery, that's where using the same colour marker comes in, because you can map out all that detail without it standing too far off the page. I've done it before where I've drawn a lady's dress and there was lace and stuff going around it. And I thought, oh crumbs, if I put a dark pen on there, the lace is going to stand out. If I put a light pen on there, it's going to bleach out the previous layers and that's going to stand out. So using the same pen, it was light enough that you can see the detail, but not too strong that it didn't detract from the actual drawing. So there's a hint. So I'm just going to try and bring this up to the main camera. Bear with me, this could get freaky. Hopefully it's going to focus. So it looks a little bit washed out, but that is mostly due to my lighting here. I will sort something out eventually. All I have literally is one small daylight lamp. A couple of my shadows do look a little bit too strong, so I'm just going to come in with the E11 by the looks of it, and just blend them back in. And to make sure that that is the only area that's been affected, I'm literally just going over the darkest areas. I'm leaving anything too light as it is. Now I'm just reanimating the really dark spots. And that should help bleach them out a bit. Now I'm going to get some detail in the other plants. So if I used YG25, I want something going a bit darker but also a little bit different, just to make it stand out. So I'm going to try the G82. So we come off the yellow green onto green. I don't think adding a blue, because I haven't got any blues within this drawing, if I go to a blue green it's going to stand out too much. So it's keeping it within the family, because I've used yellows in the main image, which is, come on, watercolour paper's bobbling slightly. Actually, this isn't bobbling as bad as Bristol board would if I put this many layers down, so this could be my new marker paper. So I'm going to need refill for every single pen at this rate. For these potatoes, I'm probably going to have to add a couple of different colours into the leaves. With this green, I can actually just add a couple of spots here and there on the main image. So it's carrying that colour from one place into the next. So if I'd used reds here, I want something that works with red back here, and maybe even a tiny bit of red across the drawing, just so that that colour forms consistently. I mean, I've done it with pet portraits, so if I've drawn somebody's dog and I've used purples, blues instead of blacks, because I don't really ever use black in the drawing of a beloved pet, I find it too stark. So I use burgundies, blues, purples, browns, and then I make sure that it's not just in the one area, that it continues in other parts, even if it's just in a shadow. This pen's starting to dry out. You can feel when they're going to dry out. They kind of scratch a bit more. So let's get some dots around here. Need those potatoes to stand out a little bit more. Just added in an extra leaf. Or leaves are. Another thing I'd recommend, which I haven't got to hand, is if you've got a camera phone, when you get to a certain stage in your drawing, use your camera phone, take a photo, and go into another room where you've got different lighting, or go and find a window where you've got natural light, and look at that photo and see what the tonal values look like. Because this drawing, to me, I'm happy with the tonal values, it looks soft, but looking at my computer screen, it looks bleached out in some areas, which I know it's not. And then if I take a photo with my phone or my camera or anything, I know it's going to look completely different. So by using that information, it's going to help me know exactly where my tonals need to be changed or where I need to push things. So take photos, look at them, take a step back, reassess. It will help you so much when drawing. You want to keep your eyes and your mind as fresh as possible. Where's that E number gone? Right, potatoes. Potato. Well, I'm going to use this W7 to add in a little bit of shadow. And then I'm going to blend that back with that really bright YR21. Just to soften it down enough. Just stepping back, having a reassess. And I'm now going to bring in, I reckon this, no, I can't do that one because that's a BG. YG63. Oh yeah, when you take your pen lid off, if you do as I do to release the pressure, don't do it directly over your drawing because sometimes you get splatters. So try and always do it to the side. Otherwise you can find yourself having unexpected spots. Now, originally I was going to put a bookmark down this side or two, but I'm not going to. I had a incident with some crayons, some crayon residue got onto there, and that's going to affect the pens. So once I've got these done and taken over to my printer Chappie, who I use a local printer, support local businesses, and I'll get him to hopefully print these out onto either a big roll, because he prints either by the roll or by these massive great big sheets, so he will be able to edit and pack in as many of these as possible, so we could have this centimetre gap drop down to 5mm, so I can let him play around with that and just get a decent layout and such, and then they'll come back to me and I'll do the trimming. I'm going to do gold, bronze, silver, and hopefully, if I can, copper coloured edging. And I'm asking the game makers, not that sadly they're a bit busy right now to respond, but I have asked if I can take the game's back logo and actually print that onto the back of them. But if I can't, I can't. At the end of the day, people who play the game will be able to relate to these, and they're going down quite well on the forum, so. But I've never done a Comic Con before, so I'm rather nervous and apprehensive. I've done craft fairs, arts fairs, that sort of thing, showing my realism pet portrait work, but I've never done anything where it's kind of fan based. And I chose the Isle because it's a game that I thoroughly enjoy and I like dinosaurs. Well, actually I love dinosaurs, so that works. Otherwise it probably would have been Pokemon, but then everybody's doing that, so it's nice to go in with a bit of a different subject matter. I'm just going to try and change the lighting, bear with me. What happens if I do that? Doesn't quite work. Hang on. Right. Yeah, that's with the light off, by the way. Let's try that. I'm trying to bounce the light off of a glass cabinet. That's more like what it looks on the screen right now. That's more like it actually physically looks. But now, sadly, of course, I can't see anything. But that's what I mean by there is a difference between the screen as what I see, what the screen shows, and what you see, depending on your screen. That's it. back up with the light so I can actually see what I'm doing. Yeah, I will do my best to get some proper lighting in here. Whee! So for the eye colour, I'm going to take a little gel ink pen. I don't normally use these because they don't always dry properly, but I'm going to put a tiny piece on there. Now what I'm thinking of is, when I've done the bookmarks, is to use about the only Spectrum Noir pen that I do like, which is the glitter pen, which is one of these, where it's mica based glitter and a terrible brush on the end, and go over them once they come back from the printers with the glitter. So hopefully I would end up with something. Can you see the shine on that? Not really shining as well as I wanted it to. You should just be able to see the glitter on that. This is actually a sticker. I was testing out some sticker paper. So yeah, it's a sticker. That's a bookmark. And once again, I'll go over these with gold. Yeah, I need to put more glitter onto that. But hopefully I'm going to glitterize them in places, put on the metallics. But I'll use the pilot pens, the proper gold and silver ones. With one of them I have to actually pump out the ink onto the side and pick it up with a brush to apply, almost like gold leaf. And then I can laminate it, trim and do all that. So I'm going to get the 0.05. Just you try and find it. Yeah. Let's push it up a little bit, straighten that out. And I'm just going to add in a couple of tiny bits of detail. Turns out a little bit of the texture of the skin. I don't feel this 0.05 is as good as the Micron one in any means. It feels like it's not actually producing any ink. Just in the area that I need to fix. Quite a big one actually. A bit of the green has gone into the wrong place. So to get it out, I'm literally going to use the chisel tip this time and just hold pen on that spot. I really don't want the green there. There we go. And then, because that's now made that a little bit too bright, I'm going to come in with a Posca and just put a layer of that down, which hopefully, once that's dry, and then I can apply some more ink, because the Poscas, whilst you're layering, they do tend to be a little bit translucent, which can be really handy. Which means you don't lose too much. Okay, a little bit of detail around the neck. Trikes are funny. Huge noses, huge nasal areas, and yet tiny, tiny, winny little lines. Thing is, their horns were right above the eyes, so they wouldn't have been able to ram horns and such, because the skull around the eyes wasn't very reinforced, so they would have ended up shattering the bones around the skull. I'm just going to pick up the lower jaw with a little bit of the Posca, so I don't want that to get too lost. Which I think it has slightly. Just fix that. A few seconds to dry. And just rework. So like trike horns wouldn't have been razor sharp, because the horn that you see in museums isn't the full horn. There would have been a layer of creatine or something else on there. So I'm just doing really tight hatching in the shadowy areas, just to add a little bit of texture. And I reckon that's going to be it for that. And I can come back and rework any bits that I'm not happy with, which is really handy to have to do. And now all I've got to do is just put that onto the fan art piece and just see how many people like it, or anyone to suggest any changes, and then I can go on to the next ones. So the plans I've got are it's relative to the trike. It's one of the two-legged ones. Everyone calls it a taco because part of its name is it's pit something taco. So I'm going to have a taco eating tacos, and then this one here is the sauropod that they built. It isn't in game, it's in the sandbox but not in the game, which is such a pity because it's so beautifully rigged. And a lot of people call it a pew. Well, I'm thinking of Pepe Le Pew, the skunk, and the old joke about kind of why don't giraffe know their feet smell joke. So I'm thinking of little smelly feet down here, and the dancer being completely oblivious, but then knocked out unconscious and snuffed out dinosaurs all around it, where they've sniffed its feet and have just collapsed. And then the last one, which is down here, will be a T-Rex, as in a Rex with a cup of tea. So just some really light, fun ideas. So I hope that's helped give you an idea of how I work, what I look for, and what my mindset is when I'm drawing. And hope this inspires you guys to maybe go out, pick up a pen and have a go. I mean, if you can, do a drawing every day. It doesn't matter what it is, even if it's just a lamppost outside your house. Have a go, keep on practicing, and the more you try, the better you'll get. So till next time, take care everyone, all the best, and happy drawing to you all.